Somehow, it's summer again. I'm not sure how, but here we are, standing on the threshold of another blockbuster season at the local multiplex. Hey everyone, Adam Holz here, your host of the Plugged In Show, focused on the family's weekly conversation about entertainment, pop culture, and technology. Thanks so much for joining us today. Yeah, it's hard to believe we are in the second week of May. Prom, graduations, kids home for the summer, lazy Saturdays at the pool, and of course movies. Big ones, small ones, and everything in between. But mostly big, right? Because it's blockbuster season. So today in our first segment, we're going to give you a preview of what's headed our way movie-wise this summer. And in our second segment, I'll be talking with Bill Abbott. Now, he may not be a household name, but there's a good chance that his media company, Great American Family, is a part of your cable package. The channel once known as Great American Country has broadened its focus, offering a faith and family-friendly alternative to the Hallmark Channel, which might not be as reliable in those areas as it once was. But before we dive into those two conversations today, I would love for you to check out our team's new book if you haven't done so already. It's called Becoming a Screen Savvy Family. And we're going to give you lots of practical, concrete, and down-to-earth information you can apply to your family's entertainment and technology needs. And at the same time, we're going to help you think a little bit more deeply about worldview and how the ideas we see in Scripture really do apply to the things we have to deal with on TV, on our screens, with entertainment and technology every single day. So today, for a gift of any amount, we would love to send you a copy of our new book, Becoming a Screen Savvy Family, and you'll find information on how to do that in the episode notes for today's show. Well, with no further ado, let's get started. Joining me for our first segment today are Kristen Smith and Paul Acey. Hey, you two.
Hi.
Hey. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Kristen may be taking a little bit of a break from us because...
She definitely
Where are
is.
you moving, Kristen?
I'm moving to Hawaii.
Oh, you're going to paradise.
Yeah.
From one paradise to another.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
A
You're
colder
living your
paradise to a warmer paradise.
You're living your best life.
I hope so, yeah.
You've raised your game since Philadelphia.
Yeah, a little.
Sorry, Philadelphia. I don't mean to throw you under the bus. Well, you will be missed, but hopefully your voice will continue to be a part of our show one way or another as we move forward from here. So,
Yeah. Even if all you have to do is listen to old shows, I'll still
right,
be there.
exactly. Right. The spirit of Kristen Past will live on
That's
through
right.
the old
It will
episodes.
live on.
Well, I have probably asked a variant of this question before, so bear with me. But what's one of your favorite summer movie memories you had from when you were, well, either little or maybe an adolescent?
So I don't remember you asking this question ever.
Okay.
This is
Well,
a good
good.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I don't really know how to answer it because as a child, time didn't really exist.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like summer vacation was the whole summer.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean
the
it
whole
just
year.
Yeah. And so I remember watching Pocahontas over and over and over again. And I know that's probably not where you were going with this question,
No,
but I
it's a
couldn't
great
think
answer.
of like summer's here. What movie did you watch? And Pocahontas just came to mind because I loved all things Disney movies, the classics, Lion King, Cinderella, and I watched them over and over and over again.
So can you sing all the songs?
Oh my goodness. My husband and I go on road trips, and the second a note plays, I know what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet you'd be really good on those shows where you have to guess the song from the first note.
Oh, yeah.
What was that called? Name that tune?
You'd name that tune.
Yeah.
That's an old show.
That's
Yep.
an old show.
Anyway, that was mine.
All right, Miss Tracy.
Okay. So this is a little bit out of left field, but
Shocker.
I went
See,
with...
I'm an equal opportunity abuser, Kristen.
Yeah, and I agree. This was a surprisingly good question.
Usually
Thank
they're
you for
trash,
the sideways
yeah.
compliment, I think.
Because the experience part of it, right? The summer movie experience. So I am going to take a tip from you and talk about Star Wars. Back when
Oh, I love you.
Back when Star Wars was fresh and new, when Star Wars A New Hope was still just called Star Wars, we went to go see it at our local theater in Taos, New Mexico.
Oh, man.
Which was a great experience right on its own.
Wait, what do you mean when it was just called Star Wars?
When it was just called Star Wars. No A New Hope, no
they-
Episode 4. It was
They
just
put
Star
the colon,
Wars.
A New Hope. It's not
Yeah.
A New Hope. It's just Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
I'm learning so much. Sorry.
it was a revolutionary experience for me, as it was for Adam, as Adam has documented several times.
Right?
But the most
Paul's
significant
preempting
thing,
my answer. Thanks, Paul.
the most significant thing is when my mom and I drove back home to the theater, all of a sudden, something fell out of the tree on my mother. There was a kitten that just fell on her as we were walking to the car.
In New Mexico?
Or walking to the house.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there was this.
Where cats fall from the sky.
It was raining cats, and that's it.
It was raining cats.
Yeah, so we brought this cat in. It was an adorable little kitten. We kept it for a good 6 months before it disappeared again. But it was definitely the most memorable movie
experience. Is that how we were supposed to respond to this?
No.
Because now my answer's wrong.
No, your answer's not wrong. Your answer was great. I loved your answer.
I thought it was okay.
So
Me too.
I wasn't going to go here, but now I will, and then I'll give a real answer.
Okay.
So after I saw Star Wars, we went with our neighbors, the Shanks. So if the Shanks are listening today, Kobe, Tatum, hope you're doing well. They had one of the ubiquitous, ginormous station wagons, like a Caprice Classic.
Those were so cool.
And they were like 100 feet long. They were like a battleship.
You could fit 27 kids in the back.
And several of us were in the back, unbuckled, the way God intended in the 1970s.
Oh, man.
No, it
I
gets
remember
better.
those days.
No, this is my memory.
Go ahead.
I'm not even going to talk about the movie.
Okay.
The window was down about halfway. I remember we were on the freeway in Des Moines, coming home from the River Hills Theater, for those who grew up in Des Moines, which was the biggest, nicest, coolest theater. And we're all sort of in post-Star Wars, what just happened. And I decided it would be super fun to hang my arm out the window, the back of the station wagon. No, it wasn't like enough that I was at risk of falling out. Okay. I was just being kids, right? I was 6.
Right.
Why wouldn't I stick my arm out the window? Well, our neighbor who was driving, she was having none of that. She rolled the window up, and my arm is hanging out the window, and she rolled the window up on my arm, and I started yelling, I got to get my arm out. I got to get... Wow. And that... Other than the life-changing experience of seeing Star Wars, my primary memory of Star Wars is driving down the road with my arm hanging out the window.
Almost literally disarmed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
I think we should just stop the podcast right there.
I have to share an extra credit story.
Oh, my goodness.
While we're talking about station wagons in Star Wars, on long trips, we had one of those station wagons that was like a block and a half long, and it would slide around. And it was also
you could put like a canoe in the back sideways, and it would fit.
It was like 30 years old, right? So it squeaked. When I was a little kid and I was sliding around in the back,
oh my goodness,
I would hear all the squeaks, and this is when I was really into Star Wars. I pretended all the squeaks were R2-D2.
That's
and
fantastic.
So I would have conversations with R2-D2.
I could just see little Polly unsafely rolling around in the back talking to R2-D2.
To himself.
Yeah, it was sort of like,
talking to R2-D2.
Like, and then you hear my body slam. Yes, that's what I think, R2.
This is too good.
All right. What's your answer? Sorry about
that. So, forgive me if I have shared this story before. In the summer of 1984, we took one of our very few and far between vacations, which is to say my dad had a business trip and the rest of us were in the hotel for a week. There was a theater across the parking lot from our hotel, and The Last Starfighter and Karate Kid were playing. And I went and saw both of those movies multiple times every day for a week because my mom just needed me to leave. And so she would send me off with, you could go to a movie for like a quarter back then. So it probably cost like 50 cents to see it 3 times. But I saw Karate Kid and Last Starfighter at least once. I think there were some days that I saw them twice in the theater.
That's actually really fun as a kid.
And I'm telling you what, I didn't get kidnapped. It was all okay.
Wow.
And my mom had a moment of sanity because little 14-year-old Adam was off going to the movies.
He was off going to the movies.
It was one of the best vacations we ever had.
Yeah.
Guys.
All right.
We
are going to talk about summer movies. Now, at Plugged In, we typically talk about movies we have seen. So, disclaimer, we haven't seen any of the movies that we're going to talk about today. But we are going to give you, a couple of them we have reviews up for, but we're not really talking about them. We're letting you know what is in theaters and kind of what you can expect. And, once upon a time, the summer movie season began in earnest on Memorial Day weekend. Rewind the tape back to Star Wars. The first 3 Star Wars movies all came out on May 25th. That's your Star Wars fun fact of the day, other than the fact that Paul had an imaginary relationship with R2-D2 when he was little.
It was great.
It was great. But somewhere in the early 2000s, that date crept backwards on the calendar, earlier and earlier in May, and even into late April. I think the Marvel movies had a lot to do with that. I think Iron Man came out in
May
late
3rd.
April. May 3rd?
May 3rd.
You remember, right?
I remember.
Because you had a horrible accident that
Yes,
day.
I did.
But we're digressing again.
We're digressing.
We're having a hard time getting into the real conversation
Man, what are we
today.
talking about today? Stick with us, guys.
So this week, in fact, we've got a certain movie about apes in theaters, and The Fall Guy, which is a remake of an 80s TV series that I flat out loved about a stuntman. And so they're already acting like summer is here in full. As we look out across the calendar this summer of 2024, we thought it would be helpful to know what's coming down the cinematic pike, so to speak, and letting you know that. So again, haven't seen these, but here's what's coming and here's what we can kind of expect. Now, here's how I want to break this down today. It's tempting just to march through a week by week, calendar look, but I thought it might be more helpful to do our little preview more categorically. So first question, what movies might families most be looking forward to this summer? We've got a couple, I think.
Yeah, the one that I am going to be really interested in seeing is Inside Out 2.
Okay.
That is going to be coming out June 14th. The first one was a really, really sweet, thoughtful presentation of what goes on in a child's mind. It was really well done, had a lot of thought behind it. I'm going to be really curious to see what they do with this because the main character is going to be going into adolescence a little bit deeper. And so we're going to have some more interesting issues, shall we say, to tackle.
Well, Despicable Me 4.
Speaking of tackling issues.
I'm really excited for that one.
Are you really?
Banana.
Yeah, they're hysterical.
They're very
hysterical.
sweet.
Yes.
They're very sweet.
Yeah.
I actually just watched the first one again. Oh, man.
I know. It just melts your heart.
It does.
Yeah.
That's such a nice message about fatherhood and adoption and minions. I guess the minions aren't.
It's a
they
good
don't
thing.
have a lot of great
Banana.
messages. But.
I keep trying to be a minion and get a response out of you guys, but you're acting like I'm not even talking.
We're trying to
I don't know what
ignore
to
you.
say to it.
So I don't know about, there's also a movie, the Garfield movie is coming out, which I am uncertain
Well,
about.
here, I'll tell you what's certain about that. You know who's voicing Garfield?
Who?
Chris Pratt.
Oh.
Really?
Score.
Is it all animated or is it one
It's
of
animated.
those? Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's animated. And another fun fact, the very first movie I reviewed for Plugged In 2004 was the Garfield movie.
Oh, wow.
So
That's cool.
my thought is about that, though, is, obviously the Garfield movie is based on a long running comic strip.
Right, which hasn't been running for a long time. Does anybody even remember that Garfield exists?
That's the question.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, that is the question, because how many kids actually know about Garfield? How many kids actually know what Garfield is all about?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested to see how that goes. I would personally be much more interested in it if it was the ex-president who died horribly from a gunshot wound.
Paul,
Wow.
you're a strange man.
Yeah.
That felt like a lot for kids movie category. So if we just want to veer
We've got
back
an
to what we
R-rated
were
movies
talking
category
about.
later.
Yeah. I think it'll be popular because Chris Pratt is popular, you weirdo. And then there's another one called Thelma the Unicorn, which has no violence that Paul was referring to. So Paul, would you like to tell us a little bit about that one?
I really don't, except that it's about Thelma and a unicorn.
So
Okay, great,
I will
yeah.
tell you about Thelma. the
Thank you
Unicorn.
very much.
So this is brought to us courtesy of Jared Hess of Napoleon Dynamite fame.
Oh.
And it is about, I think, either a donkey or a horse, I'm not sure which, who wants to be famous, named Thelma, and nobody is really interested in this lowly little donkey. And then one day there's an accident on the highway, and Thelma is covered in pink paint, glitter, and something, and somehow has something comes out of this truck that has a wreck that looks like a horn that lands on her forehead.
So it is pretty violent.
And shortly after that, it's not. It's cartoon violence.
Okay.
Think Looney
All right,
Tunes.
all
All
right.
right. Although Looney Tunes were pretty violent. Anyway, everybody now thinks Thelma is a unicorn. and Thelma gets famous because she's a unicorn, but the underlying thing is
she's lying.
Will people accept Thelma and when they realize that she's not really a pink sparkly unicorn? I watched the trailer. I actually thought it looked kind of fun.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like something the little girls would like.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Sweet.
Yep.
Let me offer one more movie that I'm personally very excited about.
Me too. I think I know what you're going to say.
Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
No. Harold and the Purple Crayon. It's based on a great but very, very short children's book. Coming out August 2nd. I'm going to be very curious to see what they do with that.
Okay. Well, the one I was going to talk about is called If. It's the brainchild of John Krasinski, and it imagines a world in which a little girl can see all of the abandoned imaginary friends of the children, that once had them. It sort of has a Toy Story-ish kind of vibe to it because you have all of these disgruntled and cynical imaginary friends who've been left behind by their
it
owners.
looks really sweet.
And this little girl can see them. So I'm hoping that concept pays dividends. It actually comes out next week, May 17th.
Yeah, it's it's going to be interesting to see what Ryan Reynolds does in the starring role, right? He's going to be a big part of that. He is disturbingly funny.
He's hysterical.
Yes, and we'll circle back to that too. So we got kids' movies. Now let's talk about tentpoles, blockbusters. When we think summer movies, these are the movies. What's coming?
I wanted to start off by saying what's not coming.
Okay,
because
what's not coming?
I think that this is kind of an interesting trend for 2024. Not a lot of superhero movies are coming. We
only
have
two, but they're both sort of different kinds.
They're different kinds of superhero movies. Now, typically, as we talked at the outset, often Marvel sort of launched the summer movie season with a big blockbuster. Ever since Iron Man came out, every May there was a huge Marvel movie. There isn't that this year.
Yep.
We do have one really off the not off the radar. It's very much on the radar.
Off the rails, maybe.
Maybe off the rails Marvel movie that's coming. But you don't have. Marvel is really throttled back.
As they should.
Because there was just a lot of
trash.
Not very good superhero movies,
Right?
right?
I wish you could just say what you really mean, Kristen.
They've just put out too much anyway.
Yeah. Endgame. It should have just ended at Endgame.
Truly, it
Well,
should have.
and the writer's strike has affected things too. I mean, it's a twofer. Marvel's trying to find its way, and the writer's strike.
Yeah.
So we're talking about what's not coming. What is coming?
Well, there's a plenty still to come.
There's a plenty still.
A Quiet
There's
Place.
plenty still to come.
A Quiet Place. Day one.
Yes.
It looks so good.
You said that so quietly, too. That was very nice.
It's a Quiet Place, yeah.
Don't make any noise.
Anyway, it looks really, I don't know if it will be good, but it looks really good.
And A Quiet Place is about aliens that are blind, but they are drawn to sound, and then they kill people.
Yes, exactly.
Badly.
Well, this is kind of how all of it started.
Yes.
They're taking it back to like the origin story. And the other one that I'm really excited about, Twisters.
What? Are you
I am
excited about
too.
Twisters?
I am
What is
totally
with you
excited
people?
about
I'm
it.
really weirdly
The first one was not very good.
Oh,
Shark
please
movies.
stop.
Yes, shark movies and Twisters.
They're holding on in the middle of a twister by a leather belt. Come on.
You know what?
It's a really good belt.
Just mind your business. It was a great movie. I can't wait to see it again.
So Twister, fun fact. Twister, the original from 1996, was filmed where? In two places. It was filmed in Iowa, and it debuted in my hometown of Perry, Iowa. Go Perry. And it was filmed in Oklahoma, and it debuted in some small town in Oklahoma that I don't know the name of. But my mom's junior high is actually briefly in Twister.
That's cool.
And if you know Iowa and Oklahoma, you can tell which scenes were filmed where because they don't look anything alike.
Yeah.
So I'm excited too. I don't think they filmed it in Iowa, but I don't know.
Oh, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I'm much more excited about the Quiet Place.
Yeah, I
prequel
am too.
Myself.
Well,
But
differently excited.
So we do have a couple of superhero movies on tap.
Yep.
Probably the big one is going to be Deadpool and Wolverine. And the main reason why this is going to be a big deal is, well, number one, Deadpool is a big deal.
Right.
Wolverine is a big deal.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman returning.
Huge Jackman.
Yeah.
Because he's jacked
And
and
Ryan
he's a
Reynolds.
man. Paul, back to you.
Oh, my good.
It's Ryan Reynolds too, right?
It is
And
Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds.
Reynolds.
And
That's
if
an interesting combination.
If you're online at all, you know that they've had this
It's hysterical. Yeah, they go back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, they have this multi-year fight with each other. And it is just hysterical. They already have a really nice chemistry. They have this sense of humor that goes a long way. So it could be a very, very interesting movie, but pretty problematic, potentially.
Yeah, it'll be R-rated.
Oh, for sure.
And in fact, there's been not controversy, but when it's been suggested that maybe Marvel will dial it back to PG-13, most of the hardcore fans are like, no.
Yeah.
Deadpool's not PG-13.
Yeah.
Which it's going to be problematic.
It's going to be problematic no matter what. I also think that Wolverine got off to it was a very nice, although very, very difficult and problematic send-off in Logan.
Yep.
So I'm not exactly sure how he's going to
Had a
but
pointed ending.
different R ratings for different reasons.
Oh, very, very
So like
different.
I've never
Yeah.
seen Deadpool ever, but I know that it's very language, foul, which is in step with Ryan Reynolds, right? It's kind of like his shtick. But Wolverine's it's a very different R rating. So I'm interested in the blending of the two, what they plan to do with that.
And it feels a little bit more like fan service in some ways than actually something that continues the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It
pushes
probably
it
is.
forward. So it could. I'll be interested to see it, but I don't have really high hopes.
Well, and there's been a ton. I'm going to get my inner geek tinfoil hat out. There's been a ton of buzz about whether they're going to use these characters to reset the Marvel Universe completely.
Oh, no.
In fact, there has been a conversation that it will be a multiversal plot in which Wolverine and Deadpool go to all the different Marvel universes and kill the characters that have done poorly in TV shows. And so, no, literally,
Are you
they're
serious?
saying that one of the things that's supposed to happen, rumored to be happening, is they're going to go kill She-Hulk, which completely bombed on Disney+. That it will be kind of a meta nod toward, we know that we have kind of stunk it up with these shows, and now we're going to let
That might actually
Wolverine
be funny.
and Deadpool go kill them all.
Yeah, that might actually be funny.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Although it does sound like it would have many plugged-in problems.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have lots of plugged-in problems. So
Can I ask a question about a movie?
You can. Please do.
This is not about this one. I heard about The Crow.
Yes.
What is that?
The Crow is a remake of a movie, I believe, from the early 1990s, in which
Correct.
Brandon Lee famously died shortly after.
It sounds like
was
a
filmed.
horror movie.
It is. It's sort of a horror.
Okay.
It's a martial arts horror type of film.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. And The Crow, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's sort of like this supernatural entity where he comes back from the dead and does his martial arts stuff. So, but it does come with that extra little asterisk because the first one was such a tragic experience.
It was so tragic.
Yeah, you just heard the star, Brandon Lee, he died from, I think, a prop gun that actually had live ammunition in it. So it was it was something that marked my childhood, actually, reading about that.
I don't think it marked my childhood, but it certainly was tragic. And it explains a lot about your childhood, though.
Yeah, there are so many things.
And, you know, this far in advance, we don't actually have ratings on all of these movies, but certainly the speculation is Deadpool and Wolverine will be rated R, The Crow will be rated R, and I think Alien Romulus will likely be rated R.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, for those scoring at home, it's the 7th Alien movie.
Yeah, and this is one that I'm not looking forward to that much. I think that the Alien movies may be a little bit oversaturated.
Long in the tooth?
A little bit.
Oh! I sat up last night planning that one, and you walked right into it.
That was pretty good. Was pretty good.
A little oversaturated?
Yeah. These
movies are awful.
Oh,
I know people disagree.
They're tired.
They're tired.
I mean,
it's like the Transformers. Like, why did you have to battle for 3 hours?
Oh, they're
no
not as
one
bad as
cares.
Transformers.
That's
I don't
really
know.
Nothing could be. No.
All right.
What about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Apes?
It's out right now, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah, it is.
Because these are kind of fun.
They are kind
Maybe,
of fun.
although I sort of feel the same way about this as I did
Yeah.
Aliens. I'm
That's
like,
fair.
did the world really need another CGI Planet of the Apes movie?
One
I'll
thing-
let you guys answer that.
One thing about these Planet of the Apes movies is that they do have a little bit more depth than we saw in the original go-round.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
You
I
oddly
know
enough,
you're not throwing the originals under the bus, Paul.
No, I really did enjoy the originals, honestly. But the new ones, they do have a little bit more depth. They're certainly a lot better produced. But you have some interesting family elements, some community elements that are a part of it, and I think that that's kind of nice, you know? We'll see how the summer shakes out to see how Planet of the Apes actually does at the box office when you compare it to all the rest of them. But you know, I thought it was a pretty... I don't want to say anything more really about it because I don't know anything about it.
Okay,
We
well,
haven't
since
seen it.
that's
There's
done,
a planet and there's apes.
what about Kraven the Hunter?
What about Kraven the Hunter? Paul, do you want to take this one or you want me to?
Why don't you go ahead?
So Kraven is one of Spider-Man's Famous Foes.
Yes.
And the Spider-Verse, which is owned by Sony, which is related to Marvel kind of through this complicated relationship. Basically, they've picked up a bunch of characters that Marvel doesn't want and made movies about them. So
Morbius was one of them.
Morbius was
Venom
one of
was
them. Venom was one of them.
Madam Web was
Madam
one of
Web.
them.
And so this is Kraven the Hunter. That is a famous Spider-Man storyline. I'll be curious to see how they do it without Spider-Man. I think that they will, kind of like they did with Morbius, I think he's going to be an anti-hero kind of character.
Do you think this has R-rated potential?
I could.
I am
because
not
Morbius is really
certain.
dark.
Yeah, I think it'll be PG-13 because I think there have been so many bombs in this area that they don't want to like saddle it with an R rating because that will make it even harder.
But here's the thing about a lot of those Sony Spider-Verse things, they sneak right up to that R rating.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
The problems for a lot of those movies can be pretty significant.
Yeah.
Another movie I'm going to be kind of curious about is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
Which is sometimes how I feel about you when you don't laugh at my jokes.
Furiosa.
I get Furiosa.
Very Furiosa.
Guess we'll have to see.
So the Furiosa's first appearance was quite the revelation. Mad Max, that particular chapter of the Mad Max saga was a huge, huge revelation. Really pumped new life into the whole franchise. Was nominated for a ton of Academy Awards.
People love that movie.
People love that movie, and it was very, very R-rated. It was very well produced. And I am going to be interested to see if this movie has both the emotional depth of the other Mad Max movie, what it looks like, and just how many problems there's going to be.
Yeah, I think there will be several. And speaking of problems, that's why we're here, right?
We're so trustworthy, guys.
I thought you were going to say, speaking of problems, Paul?
No, I mean, that's why we exist at Plugged In, is to help you know what to expect when you want to go see a movie, when you want to watch a popular show. We go see it and give you the information you need to make the best decision for your family. So these will all be movies that you will find at Plugged In throughout the summer. And I hope that we've given you just sort of a taste of what's coming and a sense that, yeah, maybe I want to see that one and maybe I don't want to see that one.
Yeah.
So,
and tell your friends about us, guys.
Tell your friends.
You need to, as you're looking at this and you're going through all these movies and you're like, what is this about? Go to pluggedin.com and then send it to your friends on social media so they know too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Well, today I've got the privilege of talking with Bill Abbott, the CEO of Great American Media, and that's the parent company for the cable channel Great American Family and the streaming service Great American PureFlix. Bill, thanks so much for taking some time to talk to the Plugged In Show audience today. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, Bill, your company's been through a lot of transition in the last couple of years. Can you walk us through your name change and what it's been like to bring PureFlix under your corporate umbrella?
It's been incredibly exciting for so many reasons, and being in the streaming space allows us to expand what we do and do it in an even bigger and better way. But being in both categories and on both platforms is very important to us and been a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know, Great American Family isn't maybe in the strictest sense a Christian network, but I think it's one that many faith-oriented viewers definitely see as an ally. How would you say that faith themes are incorporated in a general sense on, content for both platforms?
That's a great question because it's important that faith is an organic element of our movies. We don't want to be so on the nose that we're telling stories that are, solely attracting an audience that is looking for a faith-only type of experience. So having faith supported and incorporated and put in a position where it's celebrated.
Yeah.
And that can mean a variety of things for us. It can mean just prayer before dinner, something as subtle as that. Or it can mean a story of someone whose life is tremendously impacted by finding Jesus. It's really a broad variety of content that we create and offer.
That's great. Well, I know that Great American Family and some of your biggest stars like Candace Cameron Bure has come under criticism. I guess I would characterize it from the cultural left for championing traditional family values in your programming. I would love to hear just any insight on what you can say and what it's been like to resist that pressure to conform in this area, especially as mainstream news and entertainment outlets have been, I think, in some ways critical of some of the moves you guys have made.
Yeah, we just want to create great stories and great content, and we really want to stay out of the political wars and the cultural wars. Yet at the same time, we want to appeal to the family audience and be really relentlessly positive and uplifting. And as Cameron Bure represents all things good in life from the point of view of she, celebrates love and she celebrates people, and she's as good a person as you'll find on the planet. And so, I think that so much of the criticism has been unfair.
Yeah. Well, if somebody has, a subscription to PureFlix and Great American PureFlix and is streaming, what is there any differentiation between content that they'll find on the linear network versus what shows up on PureFlix? And you touched on that a little bit, but I would love to hear more just about how they're complementary, if you will.
Yeah, and that's a great question. That's why streaming was so important and so much fun for us to get into, because you can offer the streaming subscriber a very different package of content than you can, in our mind, on linear. So linear is much more of a fun, uplifting, positive experience where we don't delve into too much drama. We don't have kids content. We don't really do any lifestyle content. It's more of the movie, romantic comedy, positive side of the brand. On the streaming side, we can have content that's much more dramatic. So we've gotten into different genres, and we will continue to delve into that more dramatic and then the lifestyle type of content that we can do in streaming that we don't do in linear.
Okay. Well, some have described Great American Family as a Hallmark competitor, and I would love to hear from you whether you feel like there's a fair comparison there, or whether there are things it's like, okay, yeah, maybe we have some similarities, but I really want you to know this about how we're different. How would you compare the two?
I would say that we are relentlessly and unabashedly supportive of faith, family, and country. And we love our viewers. We want to deliver for our viewers. It's all about our viewers. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this to enhance and contribute differently to the entertainment landscape.
All right. Well, thanks again, Bill. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Well, now it's time for a segment we call Name That Movie, in which we describe a movie, hopefully in a funny and engaging way, and the rest of us have to guess what we are talking about. And this is the Summer Blockbuster Edition. Paul?
Yes.
I choose you.
Oh, my goodness.
You can go first.
All right, here we go. A successful hedonistic guy hits rock bottom. To escape the hole he's in, he'll need to use all of his creativity, brilliance, and a significant amount of firepower.
The Rock?
That is a no, sir. Here we go.
Kristen, you got anything?
Not at all.
So he literally needs to escape a hole.
Literally, it's...
Okay.
You might say that he has an iron will to escape.
Iron Man?
There you go.
See, I haven't seen Iron Man for so long. I missed the reference.
There you go.
Clearly. Which is
go.
part of the fun of this game. So I'm going to do a switcheroo on this one, but I think you'll still figure it out. Are you guys ready?
Star Wars.
No, it's not Star Wars.
It always wins.
You're close, but no. A guy in a fedora goes looking for an ancient boat that's been stolen.
An ancient boat. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's right.
But
is it not about an ancient boat?
No, I think you need to rewatch that. Yeah.
Oh, it's a different ark, isn't it?
It's a different sort
Ark
of
the Covenant?
I'm afraid.
It's not Noah's Ark?
Can I just say that Raiders of the Lost Ark
That's
may be one of the most
hysterical,
perfect movies ever made.
It's the most perfect movie.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
On a given day, I might even like it more than Star Wars, and I don't say that very often.
Princess Bride, though, that's a pretty great movie.
Okay,
It is.
real quick. Does this have to be an actual summer blockbuster?
It does, and if you don't have one, you have failed.
I do have one, but because
This is going to be the last time you're on the
I
podcast.
know.
No, it's okay. Just go.
we were talking about like childhood stuff, and so I thought of one from my my childhood. But again, I don't know if it was in the summer
It's
because
okay.
time means nothing as a
Right.
child.
I think it will be okay.
Okay, here
Kristen,
we go.
what do you have
Everyone's
for
going
us?
to know this.
Okay, well, that's part of the fun.
Okay. A lion is born and has to find his destiny.
What could it be?
I just don't know.
Man, shucks, I don't
A
know.
lion
Is he
in
perhaps
winter?
a royal lion?
He is a rural lion.
Black Panther. No,
That's right.
I think we're talking about the Lion King.
Yeah, the Lion King too. Just kidding, it's the Lion King. Yeah.
So, funny story, and then we'll stop the funny stories because we've had several.
We've had several.
My 17-year-old son likes to hold our dog up just like Simba.
Oh, no.
And then he sings this song.
It's so good.
And it's funny. And we laugh. And we hope that as we have talked about movies today, you have maybe had some laughs as well. And I hope that you found our interview with Bill Abbott to be interesting. I really enjoyed talking to him just about some of the inner workings of a cable channel. And I've never talked to anybody who has such a responsibility before. So it was interesting to get Bill's perspective. We hope that you enjoyed that. As always, we hope that what we've talked about has given you really important information that you can use to make the best decisions for your families with regard to entertainment and technology. And we've talked about movies coming out this summer. What movie are you most looking forward to? We would love to hear from you, and here's how you can let us know what you think. If you go to thepluggedinshow.com, you can leave us a voicemail, and we might even use your answer on a future episode this summer. I would love to get enough responses here that we could do one each week throughout the summer. So go leave us a voicemail. We want to hear from you. You can also shoot us an email at team@thepluggedinshow.com and catch us on Facebook and Instagram. We'd also like to remind you that Plugged In is a part of Focus on the Family. We are a donor-supported ministry. If you have enjoyed our show today or been encouraged by it or really helped out in your family in terms of entertainment and technology, we would love for you to help us keep bringing you the Plugged In Show by making a donation. And you can learn more about how to do that in the episode notes for today's show. Well, thanks again for spending some time with us today for the last time for a while with Kristen. Bye, Kristen. Thanks for your contribution.
It's been fun.
Sniff, sniff.
It has been fun.
And we hope that even though Kristen won't be on next week, you will come back to join us for another episode of The Plugged In Show.
Have you felt it? The calling? The whisper from God that you are meant to help children in out-of-home care? This might be fostering or adopting a child, kinship care, or as a valuable family ally. Focus on the Family has created a website that can help you find your unique purpose at waitnomore.org. No act is too small to a child or fostering family that needs your help. Learn more at waitnomore.org.